Hello my fellow Tamrielites, welcome to the channel or welcome back. Gold Road will be dropping on June 3 for PC Mac and June 18 on console, and wow, is there a lot of great stuff coming. If you are wondering about which shinies you'll want to chase first, you are in luck because I'm going to show you every single reward possible in the new chapter, organized by type and activity so you can prioritize your hunting. There are title cards between each section so you can skip ahead to what you're looking for, and I put timestamps in the description so that you can use those as well. Also, of course, at the end of the video, there will be charts you can screen cap because we just established I'm that kind of nerd. Each new zone brings us an inn room in the major city, and this is the Skingrad Inn Room, Rosewine Retreat. The inn room is, as always, available for free if you do the quest, and if you've done the quest, you can pick it up for 3,000 gold. I always recommend grabbing the inn room right off because it makes it easy to port in for free back to town when you're questing. Also, quick tip, I use the free inn rooms to store furnishings that I want to keep but don't immediately have a need for. For example, I have an inn room that is entirely full of the maps we pick up from Antiquities and nothing else. And then we have the new player home, Maryvine Estate. I'm putting the stats on the screen so that you can see the item counts, but obviously the crown costs are incorrect and there's no way of knowing how many crowns it will cost on the live server. But of course you'll only be spending crowns if you want to buy the home furnished. I believe, though I don't know for certain, that on the live server the unfurnished Maryvine Estate will cost 1.3 million gold. However, before you can buy either version, you'll need to unlock the achievement Gold Road Grand Adventurer, which requires completing 28 unique quests in Weald. I will show a bit of the inside, but I wanted to come back to this landscape and point out that if you buy this house, this is your neighborhood. Since we've been able to port to the exterior of our homes, I've found that the exterior area is a much more important feature because I end up seeing it a lot. What a gorgeous area to port into, right? I'll bet it's beautiful at night, too. And welcome to your new front yard. All of these grapevines and trellis arches are actually craftable furnishing patterns, and we'll be looking at those later. I don't have time in this video to do a full tour, and I know there are great videos out there for that already anyway. So let's skip forward a bit so I can give you a glimpse of the inside before we have to move on. The vibe is very old world, like someone asked what the Imperials would look like in Tuscany, and it totally works. I love the grapevine frescoes on the walls. Like I said, we'll be looking at the craftable furnishing patterns later, so I did want to show them in context first. As lovely as all this is, though, we need to get a move on to the rest of the rewards, so let's talk about scribing. Scribing is the new system introduced this year, and it enables us to craft custom spells. It is a fantastic, game-changing addition, and I am thrilled about it. However, much like a full house tour, explaining the system completely is beyond the scope of this video. But I do need to cover the basics so you'll understand the vocabulary that I'm using to describe the rewards. I already did a video about how you can prepare for scribing before Gold Road drops, so I'm going to try to repeat as little of that information as possible. I will put a card on the screen with a link to that video if you'd like to know more, though. In order to fully access scribing, you'll need to complete a series of quests that unlock and power up the scribing altar. You can start the quest by approaching the NPC outside the Mages Guild in Skingrad, or through the Crown Store. The scribing quests are fantastic, but not short, and I strongly recommend that you begin doing those quests as soon as you log into Gold Road, before doing anything else, so that you can get access to the rewards from the quests as soon as possible. I'll come back to that, but let's do an overview of the system first. Once you access the scribing altar, you build a spell by picking spell effects to put together. You start with a grimoire. Grimoires dictate the basic effect of the spell. Is it, for example, an area of effect explosion or a single target bolt? Each of the grimoires adds a spell to a particular skill line. Note that grimoires are things your character learns, like motif pages. They aren't consumed when you build a spell. Once a character reads a grimoire, they have access to that spell effect permanently. Then we add up to 3 scripts to the spell. Like grimoires, scripts are not consumed when a spell is created. Once a character acquires and learns a script, they know that script permanently and can use it over and over again in different spells. Once you're happy with the spell that you've crafted, you create it using the material component called luminous ink. The ink is the only component that is consumed when you scribe the spell. It takes 3 inks to craft a spell the first time and 1 ink to change it subsequently later. Note that you can only have 1 scribed spell per grimoire. Remember how each grimoire adds a spell to a particular skill line? If you try and scribe another spell using the same grimoire, you will overwrite the previous one and will then only have access to the second spell. That's the basics. Now we're ready to talk about how to get those grimoires, scripts, and luminous inks. Grimoires are fairly easy. You can buy all of the ones currently available in Gold Road from a vendor who appears in the Scholarium after you've completed the first 2 scribing quests. Buying all of the available grimoires and scripts the first time will cost almost 500,000 gold, but for subsequent characters the cost will be much lower. I'd like to mention, it was because of feedback from PTS players that ZOS lowered the cost of the initial purchase of grimoires and scripts and lowered the price further for subsequent purchases made by alts. Sometimes I see comments about the PTS being a waste of time, but every patch there's some aspect that gets dramatically improved because of player feedback. I did a video about how to access the PTS and why, and being able to provide feedback on changes made to the game you love is a solid reason. I'll put a link to that video on the screen in case you'd like to learn how to access the PTS and be part of future testing. In addition to the grimoires, you'll need scripts. You'll get a few over the course of doing the scribing quests, so you'll be able to engage with the altar, but after that, getting new scripts and getting the luminous ink is mostly a matter of collecting them as loot drops. The exceptions that I'm referencing with that mostly will be covered in a moment, but first let's talk about getting the drops. Remember I said to start the scribing quests immediately before anything else? The most important thing to know about scripts and inks is that the drops will only happen after you have completed the scribing quests. Specifically, there are 6 quests, and each one unlocks drops from particular sources. I'm going to put a chart on the screen showing which drops are unlocked from each of the 6 quests. After that, you're able to get scripts and ink from all possible sources. So the longer you put off starting the quest, the more chances you are giving up in terms of collecting the drops you need to scribe spells. I put up the chart showing the different drops unlocked with each quest to illustrate what I was talking about, but you don't need to screen cap it or commit it to memory. All you need to remember is that the information is in the in-game tutorial system if you need it. The tutorial and information menus are solid in general, but particularly helpful with scribing. While you're there, take a look at the entry for Mages Guild subsidized scripts. This is one of those exceptions that I mentioned before, scripts that you can get without grinding. The tutorial entry explains that after you complete the Dragon's Quest, you will be able to collect free scripts from certain Mages Guilds across Tamriel. It even gives you a list of which guilds have the scripts. This information is part of the NPC dialogue too, by the way, but the list in the tutorial menu is handy when you're porting around. Go to each one of those guild halls and find the script that will be sitting out. I'm showing one so that you'll know what it is that you're looking for. The other way to get scripts is to buy them, but that availability is limited. I already showed the footage of the Scholarium Grimoire merchant, and you saw his stock includes a handful of scripts that you can pick up. In addition to those, Filer Uhl in the Infinite Archive will have scripts in his weekly rotating inventory from now on as well. The ones shown here are more expensive than the ones I found on him later, but I don't know if the scripts just vary in price or if those costs were also reduced. It's worth pointing out that while the scribing quests do take some time to complete, scribing does not have a skill line of its own to grind up. Once you've finished the quest, you've got full access to the ability. That also means you don't have to build up skill points to prepare for Gold Road. Next up, we're going to talk about skill styling, which, to be clear, is not the same thing as scribing and is not part of the scribing system. I got that confused at first, but scribing is the ability to make a new skill, and skill styling is the ability to change the appearance of skills you already have. I'm currently showing the new skill styling tab in the collections menu, which is under appearances. It gives an overview of all possible skill styles, locked and unlocked, and you can see how to get the locked ones by mousing over them and reading the tooltip. However, this menu is not how you activate the skill styles. For that, you need to go to your skills menu. Unlike scribing, which requires components and the altar, skill styling costs nothing and can be done on the fly. Open your skills menu, and every skill that has a skill styling option will have an additional menu button beside it. Click that and you'll see that the default option and any skill style options locked and unlocked. Right now there's just one new option and only for some skills, but I'm guessing that each new patch going forward will have new additions. Once in this submenu, you just click on default or skill styling option. If the color is locked, just like before, mousing over it will show what you need to do to unlock it on the tooltip. And now I'll go through each of the skill styles on the screen, the default and the new color, and I'll indicate the source to acquire the style. Some are unlocked while completing the scribing quests, and more are linked to achievements related to Gold Road content. It's going to take me a minute to go through all the skill styles, so allow me to pontificate while they roll. If you're watching this before Gold Road drops and you're wondering how to prepare for the chapter, I would recommend taking a close look at these skill styles and consider if you want to rethink the appearance or theme of any of your alts, maybe get them some new gear. Over the last few years, ESO combat has opened up quite a bit. When I first started 10 years ago, I built a sorcerer as my second character, a fire mage I have built in every solo game since Morrowind, and I was pretty testy when I realized my fire mage could not cast fire spells, because sorcs don't do that. I made do with an Inferno staff, but the fact that combat was so prescriptive really bothered me. There was one rotation that made sorcs successful in group content, and that was it. And because of that, my sorc looked and fought like every other sorc, and I hated it. I know some people have been super spicy about how much the game combat has changed in the last few years, and I totally get that. I hate constantly changing my gear in rotation too. But those changes have exploded playstyles for every class, and the addition of scribing and skill styling are cherries on top of the play how you want Sunday. Additionally, the other thing that's happened over the years is that DPS has gone up substantially, partly because the newer gear sets are more powerful than older sets. That higher-end DPS means the elite players who do trials on hard mode have more options to deal with very specific trial situations. But in some ways, sets with increased base damage actually help middle-tier and low-end players more than the top-tier players. See, while the new trials and group dungeons have gotten a lot harder, basic Overland content hasn't significantly changed. The world bosses in DLC zones are harder, yes, but if you are a solo player who likes playing the quests and exploring delves, the world has opened up considerably in terms of gear. It is just not necessary for a solo player running Overland content to be wearing the gear required to survive a hard mode trial. You don't need perfected Whirl of the Depths to do zone quests. In fact, as a solo player, you might be better served by heavy armor that will help you stay alive in tougher fights, because the loss of damage in general mob fights won't matter. Scribing heralds a new era of wearing what you want to wear and casting what you want to cast. And yes, there is 100% going to be a learning curve in grinding, but still, I could not be happier about where we're going. So as you're preparing for Gold Road to drop, take a look at these skill styles and think about your alts, or even like your main. Take a look through your sticker book at the many, many cool sets out there, and ask yourself if maybe it's time to rethink your alts and build them gear that looks cool and is fun to run around in. Some of the gear sets that have neat visual effects, like you can summon an ice wraith as you fight, or a swarm of crows, grow dreg limbs, spawn a spool of poison, whatever your character wants. By the way, this is all true of monster sets as well. There's some out there with fun effects you might have overlooked because they aren't on a meta level build list. And please understand that I am not in any way dissing those meta builds at all. I have immense respect for the content creators who smash the build math and for the players who do the hard mode trials. Hard mode trials are, in fact, hard, and getting through those fights requires precise combinations of effects and actions executed perfectly by every member of the team. The hard mode versions of the new trials are designed to be a fun challenge for the demographic of players who are really good at completing that content. All I'm saying is that if that isn't the way you play, then advice that applies to that demographic may not apply to you. So while you're waiting for Gold Road to drop, take a look through your sticker book and the skill styles options and think about what would look cool and be fun to run around in. Build a new theme, double down on an old one, and hey, while you're at it, I looked through my collection of mounts and pets the other day, and there are dozens of neat ones that I'd completely forgotten I had. I'm going to wrap it by saying that was all an opinion, and your mileage may vary, of course. You do you, and I'll move on to talking about furnishings. Let's start with the new Craftable furnishings. Over 100 new patterns will be added with Gold Road. We have 3 themes this chapter, and I'm starting with the Dawnwood items. By the way, that hammock does hang straight. I tilted it so that you could see the inside. And look at these hanging string lights. I am so pleased. The only lights we had like this were the 2 Argonian pieces from when housing was first introduced. I love those, but these are much nicer looking, and there are different versions. And speaking of lights, I love the little table lamp. We've also got some food in this group, and it's Bosmer food, so yes, those are bugs on the plate. This table is unusual. Let me move all the stuff off of it so you can have a clean look. Personally, I have a bit of a thing with vining plants and unusual kinds of plant growth. It creeps me out, if I'm being honest. And the idea of a forest swallowing my house is not at all a happy thought. Next up, we've got a whole lot of different Colovian furnishings, starting with the rustic theme. You'll see these in soldiers' barracks and standard homes. I'm not crazy about how worn everything looks, but I do love that color. Incidentally, total aside here, but last year when I filmed everything, I was always trying to get as much light in the area as I could, so it was very bright. This year I started filming with the Dawnwood items, and since I wanted to get the feel for the strength of those light strings, I tried filming at night first, and I really liked how it looks. I think it gives a better feel for the colors actually, and the details are better and not blown out. As I filmed this year's footage, I ended up going back and forth, changing the lighting from day to night depending on what I was filming, so some things are in the dark and some not. I'm curious about how it reads for other people. If the lighting changing back and forth makes the video seem uneven or harder for you to watch, let me know in the comments. And then we move on to the Colovian stockroom items, and oh, how happy am I. So very, very happy. I have been saying for years that the solution to the item count frustration is not to raise the item count in houses. The solution is to create more clutter pieces that are a single item but look like multiple items. A wine rack with separate individual bottles in it soaks up item count like a sponge. Cases of wine bottles, a new wine rack that's better for informal use, and I gotta say, that wine keg on a stand with a candle on it is a dream I didn't even know I had. Now moving to an outdoor theme, remember in the garden of the player home I said that the grapevines and arches were craftable? Well, here we are at the Colovian garden and vineyard items. And not only do we have the lovely grapevines and trellis arches, we have beehives. And the bees even buzz. I've never kept bees myself, but I've had close friends who did, and virtual bees seem like a lot less work. I couldn't get them into this shot with all the larger items, but you'll see in a future grouping that we also have beautiful new jars of honey and a tray with a honeycomb on it. And then there's the Colovian noble furniture. I did these pieces in 2 shots, so there's more to come, but first up are the library pieces. As much as I like these in the new Colovian homes, I think they'll work in a lot of different kinds of noble houses. Or, say, in thieves' dens with stolen merchandise from noble houses. Very old world rich, very appropriate for the region. Absolutely love it. You know, I said Tuscany earlier, but I'll bet you could pull off a Victorian-themed house with some of these pieces as well. And here's the rest of the Colovian noble furniture. I love the chairs, and I have wanted a bed like that for a long time, so I'm tickled to see it. I have a few seconds I need to fill here, so I'll mention that if you have found the video helpful, before you finish, please let the algorithm know it's a good video by interacting with it somehow. Click the like button or leave a comment, or better still, share it with a friend or on social media. And by the way, I don't keep to a fixed posting schedule, so please consider subscribing if you want to have a better chance of seeing my videos on your feed when they are released. Oh, I haven't mentioned the lamps yet, have I? They are gorgeous, aren't they? And look, I celebrate some more as we finally get some nice looking trays of grapes and cheese that are a single item rather than having to set down a plate, a group of grapes, a wedge of cheese, and a knife. Thank you again, Zos. I really need to update all my houses this year. I have plates of grapes and cheese in several homes, so once again, this gains me like 1 to 5 item slots several times over. Also, as promised, jars of honey. Some of these pieces look a little worn, and as I've said before, I don't normally love that, but I do like it on these because I think it makes them look older instead of beat up. I don't know if that will make sense to anyone outside my head, but I do feel like the set has a real old world luxury feel to it, and the wear seems to add to that rather than distracting from it. Your mileage may vary, of course. And next up, I have some more exciting news. Craftable Mirrormore furnishings. I know, right? Previously, we got unique Apocrypha furnishing patterns that drop exclusively in the Infinite Archive, and with Gold Road, we will be seeing 7 new craftable patterns that will drop exclusively during the new incursion event in West Weald called Mirrormore Mosaics. The 7 patterns are all Mirrormore themed. We've got 3 different kinds of floating mirror shards, large clusters of the mirror crystals. Hey, did you notice the little crystal jack cocoon that has a lighting effect? I absolutely hate wasps, so I shouldn't like this, but it's pretty, right? And of course, the lucent dome, which, what a fantastic aquarium that is going to make. I don't have plans for the rest of the pieces yet, though, and I'm curious. Are you excited about these, and do you immediately have plans for them? I'm looking forward to touring homes in my housing guild after people have put these to use. I'm wondering if people will use them to create, like, Athelia-themed spaces, or if they'll recast the pieces as different things, like me wanting to use the dome as an aquarium. And those are all the new craftable patterns hitting the game with Gold Road. Now let's cover the furnishings that are collected from activities rather than crafted. If you, like me, enjoy thieving your way across Tamriel, I have some good news. Starting with the fact that a bunch of new furnishings, specifically artisan tools and food items, will be available in West Weald solely by pickpocketing. In fact, there is an achievement for this. Quality Colovian Tools, it's called, and you unlock that achievement by pickpocketing any one of these items from a citizen of West Weald. And before we dive into Antiquities, let's take a look at the 12 new paintings coming with Gold Road. As usual, these will be available by looting treasure chests, I believe, but if you hear different, please let us know. There are 2 themes within the paintings being offered, and the first have metal frames, and there are 5 paintings in this set. The second theme of paintings, which are the 7 with wood frames. I really love this new habit of including vertical paintings as well as horizontal ones. It gives us a lot of flexibility in our wall hangings. And next up, let's go through the sexy new antiquity furnishings. We'll go through the Antiquities furnishing list by quality color, starting with the green zone map that's been showing. Not to be a smartass, but one might ask why an ancient map of the area shows a depiction of the wild burn that just happened. Now I want a backstory on the ancient oracle who foresaw the recollection. And while I'm waiting for that, we'll look at the other 3 green antiquities, which are tapestries. And the fresco hanging with them is the first of the blue level antiquities. I feel lukewarm about the tapestries, but that's probably a nice change of pace from the overexcited fangirl noises I'm usually making. Oh, and speaking of those, let's leave the tapestries behind and look at the Aeliad trees. 'Cause that's a thing now. Yay! This is the Aeliad sculpture, Simple Tree, antiquity furnishing, the first of several abstract Aeliad trees available as antiquities or achievement furnishings. But the Simple Tree is more of a flower than a true tree, so let's take a look at the Aeliad Sculpture Complex Tree, which is, yes, definitely a tree. We need to finish the last of the blue level antiquity items, which is this pottery piece. I love the lore behind it. The paradox is so realistic. They're imperial nobility, so of course everyone worships Theaedra, but then, oh hey, here's a carafe with pagan art glorifying the Daedric prince of debauchery. Pay it no, never mind. Salut! And now we get to the purple antiquity furnishings, starting with the last of the abstract Aeliad tree sculptures, this one being the Grand Tree. And you have to admit, it is indeed quite grand. I just want to walk around it muttering shiny under my breath for a while. We have the next purple level antiquity, the Aeliad lens array reassembled. I love making magical contraptions, and while I don't immediately know how I will be using this, I can see that I will need to be purchasing more sky shards in the future because I have some kind of new light-powered magical machine to build. And this one is the Aeliad Arch Wide. This is so cool with the green glass and the lovely carvings in the stone and all the beautiful metalwork. And it really gives me hope that we'll be seeing more craftable Aeliad patterns. A girl can dream, right? However, while dreaming is fun, we do have more for-real items to come, including this beauty, the Aeliad Window Large. You'll see this window during the main quest for Gold Road in flashbacks to the past set in Aeliad structures. And speaking of things I want a bunch of, our second to last item is definitely one of those, the Aeliad Blacksmithing Station. Each one of the new antiquity sets lately has brought us a new themed crafting station, and the fact that I am doing cartwheels because the station has glowy bits is probably not a huge surprise. And last but not least, for antiquity furnishings, we have the new Mirrormore music box. Let's take a look and listen. I really love this composition. Next up, we have the Undaunted Trophy Furnishings. Here's a look at the trophy and bust available as Undaunted Furnishings after completing the new trial Lucent Citadel on normal and vet modes respectively. With that said, let us now move on to furnishings that can be purchased, starting with the achievement furnishings and their associated achievements. This time there are 2 sets of achievement furnishings from 2 different vendors, not just one. We'll start this set with the Sapling Dawnwood Growth piece, which can be purchased for 4,000 gold after you've completed the Gold Road Partaker achievement. To unlock it, you need to complete 4 good luck rituals in Rest Weald. Next up, we've got the Colovian Cheese Press Large, which sells for 10,000 gold after you've unlocked the achievement Quality Colovian Tools. This is the achievement I mentioned earlier that requires pickpocketing an artisan tool from a citizen of West Weald. As usual, the achievement vendor also carries a banner of the local gentry, in this case the small version of the Skingrad banner. You can purchase this banner for 10,000 gold after completing the achievement False Hope, which is the achievement associated with the second quest in the main quest line, Seeds of Suspicion. For 15,000 gold, you can purchase this Colovian lamppost overgrown, which looks like it's being strangled by a sprouting tree. First, you'll need to complete the achievement Fate Eater Bane, which is killing world boss Stree, the Fate Eater, which is up in the north tip of the zone. You then can put these all over your house. I will never visit, but we can still be friends. In a similar vein, we also have this Recollection Camp sign, Sprouted, which you can purchase for 15,000 gold after completing the Hero of the Gold Road achievement. That is one of the big umbrella achievements for the West Weald zone. And then you can buy this camp sign made of 2 small trees that do not currently appear to be trying to eat people, but I'd keep an eye on them. The Lucent Throne replica can be purchased for 20,000 gold after unlocking the achievement Seeker of the Forgotten, which is completed by finishing the 4th step in the main quest line, specifically the quest King Nantharian's Gambit. In other news, I'm delighted to say that the Iliad Furnishings love didn't end with the Antiquities. For a mere 20,000 gold, we will be able to purchase this beauty after unlocking the achievement Gold Road Master Explorer. That's the one that requires clearing all the delves and discovering all the points of interest, so it isn't hard to complete. And here's a super cool piece, the Mirror of Truth replica, which can be purchased for 25,000 gold after unlocking the achievement West Weald Sky Shard Hunter, which, obviously, is collecting all 18 Sky Shards in the new zone. Then we have the replica to the Portal of the Loom of the Untraveled Road, which can be purchased for 50,000 gold. The required achievement is the Champion of the Gold Road, which is finishing all steps of the main quest line. I'm always fascinated by pieces like this. On the one hand, it's clearly quite cool. On the other hand, it's so specifically the thing it is in the quest that I have a hard time imagining using it in a house. Let me know where I should go visit if you use it in your house. And last up for the Skin Grad Achievement Furnishings, we have this, the Null Arca replica, which can be purchased for 75,000 gold after you have unlocked the achievement Lucent Citadel Vanquisher. Lucent Citadel is the new trial, and when I first saw this, I was super sad because I assumed the furnishing would be impossible for me to get, but the Vanquisher achievement is the one for doing the trial on normal. It isn't the hard one that requires the timed no-death run with all the extras. Just normal. In addition to all those lovelies, we have a second achievement furnishings vendor in the Scholarium, Cal the Scamp, and those furnishings unlock via scribing quests and achievements. Unfortunately, though, my filming of these is spotty because these items were not included in the freebie bags we get with template characters on the PTS. I was able to buy and film about half of them, but I couldn't complete the achievements for all of them on the PTS in the time that I had. So I bought and filmed all I could, and I've got vendor footage of the others. To begin with, 4 of the Scholarium's quest givers, the Indrik, the Netch, the Griffin, and the Dragon, each have an associated achievement furnishing of a working door in the Alinor style. Each cost 20,000 gold, and these unlock for purchase after completing the quest from the respective quest giver. Each door has the same markings on the surface that are present in the quest giver's doors in the Scholarium. Each door does have a little statuette of the quest giver above it, but not the grand statues in the Scholarium main hall, which is a shame. These are great doors, though, and they will work well with the Alinor architecture, which means I will need to take a closer look at my Sijic Villa and see if I can swap out for any of these doors. I don't think they'll look too off-kilter next to Iliad furnishings either. I really do like them, I just wish the statues were also available. Maybe those will show up on the luxury vendors, Aneltheron. Right, Zos? Maybe? Those same 4 quest givers each have a fable related to their quest line, and each of those 4 then has a related achievement furnishing about that book. Each book costs 4,000 gold. I was able to buy 3 of them, the Dragon, the Griffin, and the Netch, and this is what they look like. They do not open, but there is a particle effect that you can turn on or off. Even with the particle effect off, each of these books has small bits with ambient lighting effects, and, as you can see, they have very three-dimensional appearance. Really lovely books. Going back to the vendor, here is the other one I couldn't buy, the Indrik. It will be the same size and will have the same effects. I wish we could read them, but they are really nice additions to the library even so. And this is the Scholarium column, large. This column cost 8,000 gold and is available for purchase after you have unlocked the achievement Inkamasser. That's the final stage of the ink collection achievement, and it requires looting 500 luminous inks. So, furnishing items that give me special effect options and floating sigils and shinies, these are a few of my favorite things. This lovely costs 65,000 gold, and Cal will sell it to you after you have completed all of the Scholarium quests. I need a few extra seconds here, so before we move on, I'd like to mention that I always feel thumbnails and video titles are a promise. When you clicked on this video, you were expecting something in particular. If you feel like I am following up on that promise, I'd love it if you'd like the video or share it with a friend, if you haven't already. The last of the furnishings you'll be able to purchase come from the home goods vendor in Skingrad. 20 new furnishings will be available for sale for gold with no restrictions on purchase. I've got 3 groups of these, and all are outdoor themed, and they include some gorgeous fall foliage and stunning willow tree. We are also gaining a few boulders should you need them. There's also some beautiful conical trees if you like that manicured look in nature, and a variety of shrubberies. And we get a big leaf pile. I think everyone's inner kid comes out and feels the urge to jump into one of those when one presents itself. Instant fun. Instant autumn. As usual, we have 4 new tapestries available as rewards from Tales of Tribute reward bags, and as usual, these include 2 designs in 2 sizes each. The first is the art from the card Morahas the Archer, small and large. The other art is called Saint's Wrath, and all joking aside, I really love this piece. I've always been a little sad about the lack of Imperial furnishings in ESO, particularly those involving Imperial First Era figures, so I'm really happy about these tapestries, and I already know where I'll be hanging them. And that brings us to the end of the furnishings. Since we're already sort of in the neighborhood, let's take a look at the new Tales of Tribute deck, the St. Alessia deck. As usual, to add the new deck to your collection, you have to find and collect deck fragments from sources all around West Weald, this time 5 of them. The Delver's Fragment drops randomly from Delve bosses. The Hero's Fragment drops randomly from public dungeon bosses. The Slayer's Fragment drops randomly from world bosses. The Shattered Alessia deck fragment drops from Mirrormore Mosaic incursion sites, and the Seeker's Fragment drops as a quest reward from the quest The Untraveled Road, which is the 5th quest in the main Gold Road storyline. We'll take a quick look at the deck before moving on. As you can see, the Patron ability changes more than most as your status moves from unfavored to neutral and favored. If you are unfavored by St. Alessia, you can pay 3 gold to gain 2 power and turn her to neutral. If you are neutral, you can pay her 4 gold, which is more gold, and she will then create a Soldier of the Empire card and add it to your deck. She will then favor you. I'm putting the card in question on the screen so you can see. It's an agent that gives you 2 gold and 1 power with no combos needed. If you are favored by St. Alessia, you can pay her 5 gold, again a larger amount, and she will create a Chainbreaker Sergeant card and add it to your deck. I've put that card on the screen as well. It's an agent that gives you 3 gold and 2 power with no combos needed. Not bad. The weakness of the deck is that several of the cards have no effect at all unless they are part of a combo of 2 or more cards. Even the starter card, Alessian Rebel, has no effect if played without a combo, which means it's a useless dummy card until you get another Alessian card into your deck. Conversely, as a strength of the deck, several cards can eliminate all enemy agents in one action through the Knock Out All ability. That is a big change to gameplay, having that possibility available. In particular, it will be a huge counter against decks where agents can get out of hand, like the Crows, Almalexia, or Pelin decks. Alessia melts armies, as it turns out. Yeah, go ask an Aliad about that. Oh, wait. The tribute-related achievements and card upgrades in Gold Road follow the previous pattern we've seen. The achievement, A Toast to the Mother of Mortals, is unlocked by using the patron's ability 10 times in match-made tribute games against another player, that is, queuing into a PvP game. This achievement then creates the card upgrade, Chainbreaker Captain. The other achievement-related card upgrade is from the achievement Caledonia Called Out, which you unlock by finding and defeating the St. Alessia deck's tribute master, Caledonia Gregorius. This achievement then creates the card upgrade, Aliad Quartermaster. And that brings us to the end of things I need to tell you about Tales of Tribute. Now we get to talk about all the new gear. We'll start with the Rorken Steam Guards. And while I'm not sure that's good tank math, that really isn't my strong suit, so let me share instead that back in the First Era, the Rorken clan left Vardenfell because they didn't want to play nice with the Chimer. They built a new stronghold in Volenfell and also got into a long-standing squabble with the Archmage Shalador, making them one of my favorite Dwemer clans. Next up, we have the Saint and the Seducer Mythic Necklace. I am dying to see the Codex entries on this. As for the piece itself, call me a control freak, because that's totally fair, but I don't love gear that randomly switches between a bunch of different effects. So here we are at the Shadow Queen's Cowl. Yes, that tooltip really says that. Oh, you want to go have a look? You betcha, let's go sneak around Skingrad. My issue now is that I already deconned all of my jailbreaker gear that my thieves were wearing after I made a Jillian Ring of the Wild Hunt mythic so they could all be speedy with a single item. But you can only wear one mythic, so it's this or the Ring of the Wild Hunt. So probably I will start specializing my thieves, and the one who spends more time pickpocketing in cities will wear this with jailbreaker. I'm saying, specialized thieving builds. So those are the mythics. I'm super, super happy. And now let's take a look at the crafted sets. As usual, we have 3 new crafting set stations in the West Weald zone, and these are really strong sets. I was talking before in the skill styling section about getting new gear sets for your alts. If getting 5 new set pieces means you have an awkward assortment of those pieces, you could do worse than filling the gaps with crafted pieces from one of these new sets. We've got Highland Sentinel, a crit set which also stacks crit chance as long as you don't move. Next up is Theriker's Strike, a damage bonus set which procs major berserk off of heavy attacks. And lastly, we have Threads of War, which offers pen, damage, and crit, and procs a 100% status effect chance off both light and heavy attacks. That's a great balance of bonuses. Then there's the new Overland gear set that will be dropping in West Weald, and it's also solid. Our heavy armor set in West Weald is called Allied Refuge. It's a health-heavy set that procs a damage reduction upon blocking. All Overland sets, including this one, drop in the Shardborn style. Pages from the Shardborn motif will be dropping from daily reward bags in the zone either immediately when Gold Road opens or soon after. You might want to check in zone chat to see if they're dropping before you start farming the pages. Our medium armor set in West Weald is called Macabre Vintage. This set gives a lot of weapon and spell damage, and procs an AoE bleed effect upon killing an opponent, so it's going to be fantastic for farming mobs in public dungeon and the like. Also, if you like playing vampires, the fact that your opponent explodes in a shower of blood might be a fun effect to have running. Our light armor set in West Weald is called Symmetry of the Weald. I like this set. In addition to weapon and spell damage and a crit bonus, it provides a huge bonus to the chance of causing a status effect if your health is above 50%, and if you're below 50% health, it gives a substantial boost to your healing. That's a useful flip, I think. As has been the case for a while, the new trial, the Lucent Citadel, brings us 4 new gear sets, each in regular and perfected versions. Up first is the heavy armor set, Perfected Lucent Echoes. This is another set that switches from offense to defense at 50% health, and I love the versatility of that. Above 50%, it gives a damage buff to the group, and below 50%, it reduces the amount of damage taken. It may not be your best possible choice for a hard mode fight, but it could save a lot of gear switching back and forth in a normal trial run. Our medium armor set from the Lucent Citadel is Slivers of the Null Arca. This is a crit set that stacks until it launches a crystal at an enemy. I haven't tried it out yet, but that sounds like a cool looking effect. As to how effective it is in combat, I'm not sure. When showing this tooltip, I had no other gear on and I was spec'd for Magicka, so the physical damage showing in the tooltip might be a lot higher on a different build. The first of our light armor sets is Morris Scribe's Thesis, in honor of the ciphers who are the quest givers in the trial. It's a crit and damage set that gives an additional 1% crit damage for every major buff on you. If you're wondering, I believe the Oaken Soul Ring now gives 5 major level buffs, so that would be a flat 5% bonus. I haven't mentioned the motif of these gear sets yet, and I want to be sure to do that because it's a little odd. I don't know if it will be changed by the time Gold Road goes live, but now the trial sets don't have a motif listed on their tooltip like usual. I'm guessing the motif hadn't quite been nailed down yet on the PTS, or possibly the name of the motif is a spoiler. I don't know if the motif will be fixed when the chapter goes live, or if it will still be unknown. Regardless, the motif of the gear in trials generally is made available as a crafting motif eventually, and usually the motif page is dropped from the final boss in the trial. The second of our light armor sets is Zoran's Masterpiece, a Magicka boosting set that also buffs the group. It's primarily a healer set then. I've mostly used bright colors on the armor up till now, and since this is a repeat of the motif from the other light set, I thought I would dye this one in darker colors so you could see the both. And speaking of dyes, let's take a closer look at the new dye colors coming with Gold Road and the outfit style. The largest umbrella achievement for each chapter always gives a dye color as a reward, and West Weald is no exception. The achievement Hero of the Gold Road will be bringing us a new dye color, West Weald Autumnal Orange, which is the lovely orange yellow I've been wearing on this costume for most of the video. The hero of the Gold Road achievement is, as I said, an umbrella achievement covering a number of other Gold Road achievements. None of them are weird or out of the way, so you'll probably get this die as a matter of course. The next new die color from Gold Road chapter that we'll look at is Scholarium Cerulean, which is fun to say over and over. It's a very vibrant blue prevalent in the Scholarium, which is fitting. The achievement necessary is an umbrella achievement, The Pen is Mightier Than the Sword, which covers the acquisition of scripts. You must unlock 5 other achievements, namely Signature Script Mastery, Focus Script Mastery, and Affix Script Mastery, which require the collection of each one of the new scripts available in the game through various sources. Additionally, The Pen is Mightier Than the Sword includes the achievement Gifts from the Archmagister. In the scribing section, when I was talking about how to get scripts, I mentioned that after the Dragon's Quest, you will be able to visit a number of Mages Guild halls and collect scripts that have been left out for you. If you go through that list and collect each of those free scripts, it unlocks this achievement. The last achievement required to unlock The Pen is Mightier Than the Sword is a Signature with Class. After unlocking script drops, you will start getting fragments called script scraps from trials, dungeons, the Infinite Archive, PvP, and Master Writs. These fragments work like fragments from public dungeons. You consume them as you go, and they count for the entire account. Once you have 50, it unlocks the achievement A Signature with Class, which is account-wide. After that, each of your characters can purchase the Class Script Mastery script from the vendor Furandal. As it sounds, a Class Mastery script provides an effect that is different for each class. Our last die color is Lucent Shard Azure, which is unlocked by finishing the new trial, the Lucent Citadel, on Normal. As I mentioned during the achievement furnishings, normal trials are doable, and if you can get through even once, you'll have this lovely die. I am open about the fact that I am not a top-tier player in group content, but I love doing normal dungeons and trials and highly encourage everyone to give them a try now and then. They're confusing at first, but once you get used to running one, you can pay attention to the story then, and the stories in trials are great. That is all 3 of our dies, and now let's take a look at the one outfit style coming with Gold Road, Nantharian's Royal Armor. This is, of course, a recreation of an outfit worn by King Nantharian, an NPC in the Gold Road questline. As with previous zones, this outfit style is obtained one piece at a time by completing achievements and quests all over Weald. The pauldrons are unlocked by the achievement Wine and Warriors. This is another exploration and encounter achievement designed to get you out and about in Weald. The girdle is unlocked by the achievement Gold Road Partaker. That's the one where you perform good luck rituals at 4 sites in Weald. The greaves are unlocked by the achievement Glass Sky Champion, which is completed by defeating each of the 3 Mirrormoor champions during the Mirrormoor Mosaic incursions. And that brings us to the end of the dies and outfit section, and next up we're looking at the new skin and the new 2 face and body markings. First up is the new skin we have coming, and it is a reward for unlocking a new achievement that is not directly related to Gold Road, but instead is part of the 10th anniversary celebration this year. It is listed in the holiday events, and it is called The Adventurer Across a Decade. It is an umbrella achievement covering 10 years of content from the Cold Harbor Quest to, well, all of it. But don't despair, you don't have to start from scratch. Every quest you've already finished counts toward the achievement. It is a reference to a Japanese pottery technique called kintsugi, where you repair broken pottery with a seam of gold, transforming what was once damage into something more beautiful because of that damage, not in spite of it. It is a lovely metaphor, and in a world made of metaphor, I appreciate seeing the reference in the ESO world, especially as a thank you to longtime players. Thank you, Zos. I will happily be a walking piece of kintsugi art. Then we have 2 new sets of face and body markings, the first of which also involves content that predates Gold Road. That set being the Veteran of the Infinite set. The face marking in this set is unlocked by the achievement Veteran of the Infinite, which is collecting 20 archival enigmas, and the body marking is unlocked by the achievement Archival Veteran, which is collecting 20 archival riddles. Not gonna lie, I don't know for sure what these are, but there are several collectibles that you get in the archive by acquiring and consuming a series of fragments. The Malographic Mount is the first one, created from acquiring 50 malographic inks, and then there's the 25 disgusting spoils that will get you the diseased skeever pet, and so on and so forth. So my guess is that enigmas and riddles are new fragments that will drop after you have finished gathering all of the other fragments. These are the Threads of Mirrormoor face and body markings. For those of you who have a shot at them, the body marking is unlocked by the achievement Lucent Citadel Conqueror, which is finishing the trial in vet mode. The face marking is unlocked by the achievement Retrieval Specialist, which is the hard mode achievement. If you've got your sights set on these markings, I wish you the best of luck, and I hope to see you wearing them on the streets of Tamriel so that I can enjoy them vicariously through your accomplishments. Speaking of rewards I'll never get, let's go ahead and seg into the special mount earned for doing all of the hard things in Lucent Citadel. And here it is, the Refulgent Mirror Steed. And yes, I did look up that pronunciation, so it's probably close, but don't repeat it with any tremendous confidence or anything. Refulgent means shining brightly, radiant, or resplendent, and I think we've got all those synonyms covered here, yes. It is very bright, so bright that there's a soft hazy effect around it from the intensity of the light. I took it into the city to see what it does when you hit the spacebar, and not only does it throw little light sparkles, it also causes the rider to glow, which is fun. So I sat there looking dorky for a while doing that over and over again. Additionally, when you run with the Refulgent mount, the light streamers trail behind you, which is also fun. As I said, it is the reward you get for doing all of the hard things in Lucent Citadel. I will put the achievement on the screen, but I'm sort of the opinion that the group of players who have a shot at this mount really don't need me to go through the achievements for them. If you think I'm wrong and it would be helpful, please let me know. But in the meantime, let's move on to the more accessible mount, the Wildburn Lynx. This mount is unlocked by completing the Umbrella achievement Savior of the West Weald, the largest of the Umbrella achievements. To complete Savior of West Weald, you will need to complete 5 other achievements. Lastly in this category, we have the Crystal Jack pet. I don't really love wasp, but this one is so pretty. Depending on the lighting effects, it could be quite striking flitting around a garden. To get this little gem of devil spawn, you'll need to unlock the achievement Reality Mender, which is completed by finishing the very last quest in the main storyline, the Epilogue quest. You can only access this quest if your character has also done the Necrom main quest. And that brings us to the end of the mounts and pet section and kicks off Mementos and Emotes. Speaking of doing the quest line, the Memento Echoneer fragment is unlocked by the achievement Traveler of the Untraveled, which is completed by finishing the 5th quest in the main quest line called the Untraveled Road. Let's take a look at it. The second memento from Gold Road is called Echo of the Abolisher, which is unlocked by the achievement also called Echo of the Abolisher. Let's take a look at it. Our emote from Gold Road is the True Sight Lens, which is unlocked by the achievement Behind the Locked Door, which is from finishing the last of the scribing quests. And let's look at that. That one goes a little quickly, so I'll repeat it at half speed. Our last category is a bevy of titles that can be earned by completing achievements. As usual, most are associated with large umbrella achievements of the zone, like Hero of the Gold Road and Pathfinder, or they come from the trial, like Luminous, Arcane Stabilizer, Crystal Sharp, The Unshattered, and The Unstoppable. We've also got one title from the Scribing quest line this time, which is Inheritor. And that is it, my ESO fam. Every single reward coming from the Gold Road chapter. Stick around for a few extra minutes and I'll put up those screen-cappable charts I promised. While the charts are rolling, let me take a moment to say that I appreciate the fact that you're still listening. I have been blown away by the support the channel has gotten since the last time I did this a year ago. It has given me the confidence to do the self-promotion thing, as awkward as it feels. So if you think the video deserves support, the best thing that you can do is share it on social media, especially Twitter, X, and Facebook with the hashtag ESO and tag Zos in the message using the handle @TESOnline. Those are the best tags to use to get the link to other ESO fans who will enjoy it. And if social media is not really your thing, I get it. I still appreciate that you spent this time with me. Speaking of, wow, the addition of Scribing and Skill Styling made this video a marathon. The audio might be a bit choppy because I had to go back in and keep cutting little bits to whittle it down. I think next year I'll move the houses and furnishings into a separate video. Also, I can't believe I'm already planning for next year. And that concludes my second annual New Chapter Rewards video. Coming up over the next 12 months, we'll have 3 more quarterly rewards videos, a handful more videos in the Athelia lore deep dive, and I have a few other projects in the works. I activated channel memberships a couple of months ago, and I'm looking forward to building that community this year too. Thank you for being here and for being part of this growing community, and thank you for watching. Until next time, may all your loots be elite.